Okay, lesson 10, two topics that are in lesson 10, and one of them is called division by zero. You've been told, probably for a number of years, that you cannot divide by zero. So for example, if you have 2 and you're dividing by 0, or maybe it could be written like this. And you've just kind of gone by that fact that it's impossible to divide by 0. Why though? So let's take a look at 2 examples that I have here. And notice in the first example, I'm taking 6 and dividing it by 3. Now 3 goes into 6 twice, right? Now how do you check a division problem? You take what your answer is and multiply it by what you're dividing by, and you should get the number inside. Notice that 2 times 3 is 6, so we did the division correctly. Now how about if we take this example? Let's say that we're taking 8 and we're trying to divide by 0. And say we get some answer. We'll just call it A for now. Now if I were to check this, I should be able to take my answer that I have in the square and multiply it by what I divided by to get the 8. But we know that that's impossible, because if any number, no matter what A is, if I'm going to multiply by 0, there's no way I can get 8. And that is kind of the background on why you cannot divide by 0. Now what I want you to do is copy this down in your notebooks. Make sure you've labeled the lesson. It's lesson 10, and the topic is division by 0. And pause this and just write this down. Now, when in the types of problems that we have coming up, you're going to get one of these 3 situations. And actually there's a 4th that I'm going to show you at the end here. But notice in the first one, if you get 0 over a number, so and the 2, it can be anything. I mean, it's just a number. So if you get 0 over some number, our answer, our final answer to that is 0. Now if you take 2 and divide it by 0, which we just talked about, right? We just mentioned that you cannot mathematically divide by 0. Well, we don't just say that. We say that it's undefined. That's how we would represent that answer. So anytime you have a number over 0, or you're taking 2, or a number dividing by 0, we say that that's undefined. In fact, if you took your calculator right now and you tried taking 4 divided by 0, you might get a message on there that says error, or it may say even undefined. The last situation is if you're dividing, if both numbers are 0. So in other words, you're taking 0 and dividing by 0. Now since both are, it's kind of a combination of undefined and something else, and we call that indeterminate. So all this is communicating mathematically on what type of answer you get. So let's take a look at example 1. Copy that down. And example 1, what we're going to do is we're going to simplify this. So how do you simplify an expression like this? When you have that division bar, what you do is you do the work above it. So we're going to figure out what this answer is. And then we're going to figure out what this answer is and then simplify. So up above, let's see, 4 take away 2 is 2. And then take 2 minus the 2 here, I get 0. Now so far, my answer is either going to be something like this or something like this, since I have 0 on the top. Now let's see what we get in the bottom. Now 12 plus 1, that's 13. Now this is not my answer. I got to take this and I got to represent it in one of these 3 ways. So since, in example 1, since I have a 0 over a number, what is that most close to in these samples that I gave? So I have 0 over a number, okay? And again, I've just used 2 as a number, but it can be any number. So our answer in this particular case then is 0. This is our answer. This is not. Okay, where I drew the arrow, that's how we get our answer. So the answer to this problem is 0. Now let's take a look at example 2. Again, to simplify this, we're going to simplify the top, and we're going to simplify the bottom and see what we get. Now on the top, 11 plus 4 is 15. In the bottom, now remember, some of you change your subtraction symbols to addition and then take the opposite. So I'm just going to review that, I'm going to write it like this. So either way, you're going to get the same answer. if I left it like this, let's see, 5 take away 3 is 2, and 2 minus 2 is 0. Now, I have a number over 0. So which of these three is it? I have a number over 0. That would be what we call undefined. So the answer to this problem is undefined. So really, this is a matter of just having good notes. Now let's take a look at example 3. So far, in example 1, we had an answer of 0. In example 2, we had an answer of what we called undefined. Now let's see what we have here. So simplify the top, simplify the bottom. So let's see, I have a negative 6. I'm going to add my positives, plus 6. Well, that's 0. Now on the bottom, I have 5 minus 1 is 4. And then 4 minus 4, 0. Now both top and bottom are 0 in this case. So is my final answer 0? Or is it undefined? Or is it indeterminate? And if you use your notes, that's what we call indeterminate. So far we've gone over an example of each of the types of situations that you could get. Now there is a fourth situation you could get, and this is our last example. Let's simplify this. Now on the top, let's see here. I'm going to add my positives. I have 7, and then 7 plus our negative 3, I get 4. In the bottom, let's see, minus minus is plus, so I have 7 plus 3, which is 10. Now notice here, neither the top or the bottom is 0, nor is both of them. So this is another situation. This is just, we actually get an answer here, and all I have to do is just make sure I simplify it. So I can divide the top and the bottom by 2, and my final answer is 2/5. So you may want to go back to your notes and add the fourth situation, which would be the fourth situation you could get would be where you just have a number over a number, and you just got to make sure you simplify it. So division by zero is the topic. You actually have 4 types of situations you could get when you have problems like this after you simplify them. And the 4 situations are, you could have 0 as an answer, you could have undefined as an answer, indeterminate, or just simply a fraction where you have some number over some number and you got to make sure you simplify it.